Hello there. I'm Bornmedicated, and welcome to this little corner of YouTube. I have schizoaffective disorder, which is when you're privileged to have both bipolar and schizophrenia. This video is continuing my last, where we followed the story of who I think could be DC's next Joker, Mr. Nobody. And no, not this D-bag Joker, Mr. Nobody. Doom Patrol's Mr. Nobody. Listen, Doom Patrol restored my love of the DC universe, and even my faith in TV itself after what HBO did to Game of Thrones. All 16 episodes are good. When was the last time you could say that about a show? Vic, Cliff, Rita, Jane, Larry, they all deserve Emmys. I say that because they made me feel for all of them. Besides Mr. Nobody, I can't really choose a favorite between them. I guess if I really could, but that's a whole nother video. To me, this show is a lot about mental illness and also about people who feel just different from the mainstream. Maybe like people who stay away from others because they feel they don't fit in, or even shunned by family or others because they were just a little different. I can totally understand this, and that might be one reason why I read comics in the first place. Well, my last video was Mr. Nobody's origin. This is going to try to show the comparison of what happens in both book and show. Now, in the books, he looks like a shadow, but an empty space on his chest in the shape of a heart. He's gathering a crew and is staying underneath the streets of Paris in what he calls a secret, sacred, sub-educational sanctum, or what he spells out S-A-F-E, and I have no idea why. Here, he also has everything you've ever lost. Think about that for a minute. I have no idea where he keeps all this stuff, but we'll move on. In the show, he's like a fifth-dimensional god that lives in the white space of comics. He's also narrating the show and can snap anything into existence that he wants. So, in the very first episode of the show, the Doom Patrol cause a big mess in the fictional town of Cloverton, Ohio. They stay on the outskirts of this town, and the chief has to leave for a couple days like he usually does. But this time, the guys decide to pile up in their bus and go into town for a drink or whatever. Well, Jane lights up a delicious joint and gets into it with the cops. And at the same time, in the diner, Rita just learned the rumor that after she quit acting, she started doing porn. This upsets her so bad she blobs out right there in the diner and crawls down the street. Then they all hulk out with Negative Man and James' fiery personnel coming out to play. Cliff stops Rita by picking up part of the street, and they all chill out and go home. Later, when the chief is driving home, he sees all the destruction along with the donkey from Paraguay. And I believe in literature this is known as the ass connection. So Chief gets home, bitches at the team, and grabs his old photo to make sure the asses are the same. Oh my God, they are. Ass connection. By the way, Mr. Nobody has been narrating this the whole time since the chief has drove into town. He's like a god, but with a small g. Chief says your actions have consequences, and those consequences have come to this town. Now, nobody hasn't done anything to the town yet. Chief just thinks by just seeing the donkey, he's going to show up. In the books, it's a lot different. First of all, nobody has no real beef with the chief. All I can find is back when he was Eric Morden, he stole a giant robot that the chief designed for lunar exploration and sent it against the city to fight the Doom Patrol, but nobody says he won that fight. So I don't know if there is a beef. And also in the books, like I said, he's collecting a team that he is promising pretty much the world. Here back in the show, I guess the chief is hiding the team from nobody this whole time, and that's why he didn't want them in the town. We find out the real reason later. But now the chief pulls a dick move and says we gotta bounce, screw this place, cause it's gonna burn. They all pile back in the bus, except my man Cliff. They go down the road and Jane is driving and is like, man, the town can kiss my ass, but we gotta go back and help Cliff, and asks, is that cool? Larry and Rita say fine, so they turn around and find Cliff walking toward the town. I guess to fight the donkey. All but the chief get out, and they line up into the superhero team walk together. Chief is like, Paraguay. Then hears nobody say, yes, Paraguay. Always Paraguay. Chief says, Morden. Nobody says, I haven't been him since. No, God, help me. The donkey walks up and farts in front of the Doom Patrol. The fart floats up and spells out what the German told nobody to say when he was made. The mind is the limit. In the books, he doesn't say that. Nobody says he's been admiring these freaks for a long time, and Chief says, don't you hurt them. Nobody says, that wouldn't be any fun, claps his hands, and a whirlwind shows up. Now, this may be referencing one of Nobody's teammates in the books, Lloyd Jefferson. Mr. Nobody names Frenzy. See, like I said, nobody in the books is collecting a team. But I have to go full Bornmedicated nerd here and say Wikipedia is wrong. Technically, Mr. Nobody's first appearance is in Doom Patrol issue number 23, not issue number 26. Because in issue number 23, it shows Nobody pick up his first member, Holly, who he named Sleepwalk, because she has the strength of Superman when she sleepwalks. So I guess Alex Jones was right. You can't trust Wikipedia. Well, in the books, Nobody travels to Japan to break a young girl out of jail he names the Quiz. Now, she has every superpower you haven't thought of. See, she can pretty much do anything until you think of it. So you battle her and you think flying and she can't fly, and so on. Honestly, her powers raise all kinds of questions, but again, that's a whole nother video. He gets the crew together that consists of Sleepwalk, Frenzy, the Quiz, and a guy he names the Fog because he can turn into a psychedelic fog that captures souls. The downside to that is he can always hear the souls speaking, so that would be kind of creepy. Nobody calls this crew the Brotherhood of Dada. Now, the Dada movement started after World War I in the 1920s. I'm guessing these guys might have been the first rebellious hippies because they rejected logic and reason in their art, and they were just sick of the mainstream, so yay them. Mr. Nobody is calling his movement the same things. He says just by looking at all of them, it proves there is no good, no evil, no truth, no reason in the world, and to celebrate the total obscurity of life. Now, that does kind of sound like an awesome way to live. Mr. Nobody, in the books, I guess he's pissed for one reason because the procedure made him insane, and he feels, rejected and fed up with what means normal in the world. And I can understand why nobody is so fed up, and I think a lot of people have felt this way over the years. It's caused good to feel this way, and it's caused badness. So I guess you always have the yin and the yang. Mr. Nobody started his crew to literally change the world into what they want, which I'm going to say isn't right. You should change your own world if you're upset. You know how everybody has their own world? How, like, the lady down the street, she might be into scrapbooking and all her people are into scrapbooking and they know all about it. But me, I have no idea about scrapbooking and don't know really anybody who does. My world consists of Star Wars and Game of Thrones and my puppy. But I would never go down to that lady's house and force her to be into my interests. That, I guess, is the difference from being a villain. Life can get so fucked up that you want to lash out, sure. Maybe you're like me and you felt like one of the outcasts. That the world and the people around you, they don't understand you and you don't understand them. Fuck, I can't think of a comic book that doesn't touch on that subject. I'm just telling you that it's okay to have these dark and scary thoughts. Just never let a person or society dictate what you do. You're better than that, and you're better than them. If you get angry, fury, or sadness, remember you're better than whoever or whatever is messing with your dimensional vibe. I want you to remember you're a wonderful being of love and energy, and your life is special. Believe that. And if you're young, just wait a little bit. It's going to get so much fun. And if you're older, make your life fun. Hell, get excited about your passion. Well, the next part of this will be up real soon. And I would like to take a minute to tell you about my friend Moth from Moth's audio and video channel. He's got the potential to blow up into YouTube fame. He's one of the smartest guys on YouTube, and I think YouTube hides him on purpose for his controversial material on things like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Batman, Marvel, Disney, freaking Legend of Zelda. He talks about the subjects that are taboo. And also with Moth, if you comment, he'll totally answer you. Channels like Moth's don't have one guy write it, one guy edit it, one guy do the audio, then hire some beautiful voice actress who's never heard of a Star Wars or a Tony or Ned Stark until they got hired off Craigslist. Well, I'll stop here. If you like this video, please like, and if you didn't, hit dislike and tell me why. I'm Bornmedicated. Have a great day.